At this time, we would like to recognize and thank Mr. Chris Holmes, our previous year's Teacher of the Year. Chris has served all educators in our state well in his duties as our previous Teacher of the Year. Please join me now in recognizing and thanking our 2014-2015 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Chris Holmes.
If you could choose 100 words that every high school graduate should know and comprehend, and in some cases be able to apply, what would those words be? I'm serious. What would your 100 essential words be? Let's take 5 to 10 minutes to silently think about that and write some of them down. I'm kidding. In just a moment, I'll give you my own list, my 100 words for life, which I'm sure you will all take home with you, read over very carefully, ponder deeply, and revise accordingly to suit your own values and beliefs. In the meantime, I want to thank Margie Van Dieven, Paul Katnick, Linda Dooling, Cami Fick, with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and to Jeffrey Sweet, Brittany Douglas with Boeing, and Michelle Insko with Monsanto for sponsoring Missouri's Teacher of the Year program. I will be forever grateful for the opportunities you have afforded me. This past year has enriched my life both professionally and personally, as the upcoming year will for Linda Glasgow. Linda, I hope you stay in touch with us along your journey representing Missouri's teachers, perhaps via Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, or as my 81-year-old mother says, face page. I realize that Facebook has lost some of its attraction over the years, even to the point where admitting that you use it can spur pompous scoffs and eye rolls from people who hold themselves above such common man drivel. Considering what some people post, I can understand that reaction. But I'm not ashamed to say that I love Facebook and that I use it quite regularly. In fact, I often see it as a tool for broadening my reach as a teacher. Although I'm not Facebook friends with my current students, sometimes I post messages aimed directly at them. They're actually messages to former students, as well as family and friends, about life. The older I get, the more I ponder life and the meaning of it. Sometimes my Facebook posts are funny and lighthearted, other times deep and serious. Sometimes they address professional issues, other times personal experiences. Most of the time, these words of introspection revolve around my family, and often they include pictures. About a month ago, I took one of these pictures in front of the peppers and cucumbers at my local grocery store. There was nothing special about this moment, yet it represented everything about me, both as a person and as a teacher. I saw it as an opportunity to reflect on where I am, and equally important, how I can use where I am, what I know, this little flash of wisdom, to teach. I posted the picture along with a note to teenagers that I'd like to share with you now. Dear high school students, this may not look like much fun to you. In fact, it may look depressing to you. But date night at the grocery store with your spouse and grandchild at 8:51 p.m. after a long day at school, in today's case, a long, sad day at school, is, well, in some respects, heavenly. Please don't mistake this for contentment, as if I'm somehow settling, that my version of happiness is a rationale for not being rich, powerful, and famous. This feeling is utter contentment, as in completeness, or inner peace, or purpose. And these are the things, scholars, that should be your objective, your dream, your definition of success. Completeness, inner peace, purpose. Sincerely, Holmes. Of course, these things, completeness, inner peace, purpose, are not explicitly mentioned in the Missouri Learning Standards. Not within the context of life goals, anyway. And maybe they shouldn't be. After all, how would you quantify them? For that matter, how would you even define them? And yet I believe they are undoubtedly the most important aspects of life for which we should strive, the essence of critical thinking. By the way, the handouts that are coming to your tables, please leave face down. See if you can follow directions. Instead, we teach because we test tangible things. Facts that can be memorized, skills that can be assessed. You may think I'm launching into a tirade against testing. I'm not. There's a time and a place for accurately assessing what students have learned or not learned, and we need to hold ourselves accountable to varying degrees for those outcomes. As a nation, I think we're missing the mark on assessment, but that's a topic for another day. What I am proposing tonight is something a little different. Missouri Learning Standards for Adults. You may now flip your pages, although some of you already had. Missouri Learning Standards for Adults, all adults, teachers and parents and grandparents and every other Missourian who has ever survived adolescence. If you've ever read the Missouri Learning Standards, you may be familiar with the format. Please indulge me for just a moment as we review Standard RL.5.4. Isn't it cool? It looks just like them. Doesn't it? If you can't have fun with your job, you're not doing it right. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in life. I changed the wording just a little bit. Otherwise, it's verbatim from the Missouri Learning Standards. Are used in life, including figurative language such as metaphors and similes. You have copies, good. And then the GLE alignments. Develop vocabulary for life, using roots and affixes, synonyms and antonyms, context clues, glossary, and dictionary. And then identify and explain examples of sensory details, figurative language, and basic balance techniques in life, emphasizing simile and metaphor. Wouldn't it be nice if we learned all those standards? At the bottom is my adult learning standard vocabulary, my list of 100 words. Words that, in my opinion, every person should know, comprehend, and be able to successfully apply. That child in the shopping cart, my grandson Colin, it is my responsibility to make sure that he eventually knows these words, not just their definitions, but their application to life, their relevance in his search for happiness. It is my responsibility to make sure that Colin's father, Charlie, also understands them, and my 15-year-old son and my 13-year-old daughter as well, and my students too. I am responsible to them for understanding these words, even if they aren't on a standardized test. I welcome to debate anyone who challenges the notion that teachers' responsibilities are relegated to mere content and not a child's character. Look back at your handout. Above the number 4 are the words craft and structure. These words represent more than a specific learning standard. They represent, in a very broad but accurate way, the complexity of what it means to teach. Our students need specific academic skills, the foundation upon which to build a successful career. But they also need wisdom, the foundation upon which to find happiness, to find completeness, inner peace, and purpose. Teaching is a combination of structure and craft. And for those who don't understand that, for those who truly believe that the value of a teacher can be determined by a handful of observations and test scores, well, I wish you could spend a semester in my classroom. Not a few minutes, not a couple weeks, but every minute of every day for 5 months. So I can show you that my ability to teach the 5-paragraph essay hinges upon my skill at comforting, motivating, and inspiring a child who gets yelled at every day, a child whose parents are in the midst of divorce, a child whose only decent meal, whose only meal comes from school, a child who hates herself because she can barely read, or because he can barely walk, or because she can barely cope. I'm not just talking about underprivileged kids. Talk with someone who teaches in an affluent school and they'll tell you the same thing. Today's kids are spinning from all kinds of distraction, dilemma, and distress, issues that require serious teaching. The kind of teaching that this evening's honorees provide every minute of every day. That thousands of us throughout the state provide every minute of every day. There's always something trying to get in the way of a child learning, and it's our job to lead students under, around, or up and over them. Remember in my Facebook post when I wrote, "In today's case, a long, sad day at school"? A former student had committed suicide the previous night. What in my curriculum, in any learning standard, can I use to effectively teach students how to cope with that? A formula? An equation? How to summarize, persuade, paraphrase? My 100 words, they are not a cute little gimmick for this moment with you. They represent in the most sincere way the rest of teaching, the craft of teaching. In their definitions lie understanding. In their application lies hope. This is wisdom when curriculum isn't enough. We chuckle at the notion of learning standards for adults, what adults must know. But we would be wise in taking them to heart. Not just teachers, but everyone. We all have family. We all have friends. We all have colleagues and coworkers. And all of us, in spite of our differences, are searching for happiness, completeness, inner peace, and purpose. We need more people actively seeking such things, people who understand what really matters, people like the teachers we honor tonight. Once again, congratulations.